Mixing happen. Hi, everybody. I am Stephanie Stewart from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm a realtor here, and I help people buy, sell, flip, and invest in real estate, let alone help them take their 30-year mortgage and cut it down into 15 years or less, just because I teach the rules of the game, the rule of the wealthy. If you were invited here today, it was either to go over the actual home buying process or just to kind of get some of those quick you know what I'm saying? Suggestions as far as how to go ahead and get to that next level. Don't mind me, I have many imperfections. So I do see some different guests on the line. If you wouldn't mind, either come off mute just to say hi, let me know where you're calling from, just so I can see if I need to add any different state laws. I do work in all 50 states, but different states have different rules. Just want to make sure I touch everybody to make sure that it does affect them.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Fort Lauderdale?
Mhm.
That sounds like where? Florida?
Yep.
Okay. Miss Alexandra?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandria, and I'm in Georgia.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
How was your Thanksgiving?
No complaints. I've been waiting for the webinar, so I'm very excited.
Most definitely. So one thing I love about Thanksgiving is that it's the time frame that we get to take off work. They kind of make us take off work for some, but I was able to really think about how I wanted my house to be. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Cool. So what I had noticed is that as I was growing up, I grew up on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Let me know if you've ever heard of it. But Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was one of my favorite shows where they had this immaculate kitchen. They had the living room, they had big bedrooms, everything that I ever thought I could want, I found on TV. And I was that type person who said, if they could have it on TV, why couldn't that be me? Why couldn't I have the big walk-in closets? Like, it can't be that bad, right? Even if I have to go ahead and do a fix and flip or create my own beauty, I could go ahead and do that. I broke my arm one year and I was stuck watching HGTV. This show will make you think you can do anything house related overnight. But I was watching it and I was really just seeing how people were taking that, buying the property, putting a little bit of work into it, and then getting these massive profits into it. And I just knew that I wanted to have some kind of part of it. I believe in multiple streams of income. And if I can make income versus making something pretty is a specialty that I could do. But when it came up to it, it was how much was it and how much was worth it. Yes, I love the floors, everything like that. But before I talk about how much I'm going to spend, let's talk about what the benefit of home ownership is. Home ownership is a sense of happiness and security because you can make it your own. If you want to paint those walls passion purple or fire truck red, you can do it because it's yours. In life, we are given tax benefits when it comes to school, children, hybrid, or energy efficient vehicles, as well as houses. The tax benefits are so great that if you have a house, you get more tax benefits than somebody who does not own a house. Not to mention the appreciation or the increase of value over time that the house is going to get. There's a lot of things that we can buy: clothes, shoes, cars, purses. There's so many things that we can buy that the more we hold on to them, they depreciate in value versus increasing in value, which is what appreciation goes into to form that equity. Equity is going to be something that builds up into a house that you can then borrow against, whether you want to get updated kitchens, or maybe you want to take that to use as a down payment for another property. This way you only pay for a down payment once, but you can snowball that into multiple properties. Maybe it's just the fact that you want to make your roots into somewhere to call home. You want your kids to go to the same school. You don't want them to change their friends. You don't want all these different things to go around, where you want to just be able to build your happy home and your family within the place that you want to be. And not to mention the research. The research shows that children who actually grow up in their homes because their parents are homeowners have higher test scores. And if you're a mom like me, higher test scores means, just that they're happier, they can do more things with school, more scholarships. If you want to take them to school, all these things open up, all because they had that foundation with getting a house. So let's talk about the actual home buying process. As stated before, I'm a realtor here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, licensed in the state of Wisconsin, but I do work in all 50 states, given two very, very special companies that are very dear to me. I'm brokered through eXp Realty. My brand is Educate to Own. And I really just help people go through that education to go to each step. So when it comes to the real estate process, you want to first start off with meeting a professional. When you meet up with that professional, they're going to walk you through a process similar to this and how it works out in your state. So I have Florida, Wisconsin, Georgia, right? Am I missing anybody? Cool.
You're right.
All right. Memory working today. But you're going to look for homes all over. Now, the type of home is going to be based off what you want. So what are some things that you guys want? Are you looking for a home for yourself? Or are you looking for like an investment property, duplex, 4-family, a hotel? What are you looking for?
Well, this is Alexandria. I'm looking for a home for myself, and eventually I do want to, invest into real estate to flip.
Okay. What about you, Javon?
Oh, I'm looking for a new home in a new state, and I'm getting my foot into that real estate as
That's awesome. I gotta tell you guys about Mr. Javon. Javon was able to, I was able to partner with them a couple years ago. Well, now, yes, it's almost been a whole year.
well.
And this person just been able to really just magnify the room. Like when they walk in, you just like, okay. Just always keeps the party alive, always has much information. We've been partnered for so long, we've been able to have this partnership where we love helping people get to where they want to go. I've definitely been in a big privilege to be able to work with them. Hope, what about you?
Likewise.
Dope. Hope?
Yeah, mine would just be like a nice starter home, just for me and my boyfriend. Like garage space is like a big thing so we can work on cars, just things like that.
I can dig it.
So,
So when it comes to searching for a home, just like how I was showing in the beginning, you want to find something that calls out to you. If that is an 8-car garage with the elevator in it, if
Right.
that is massive bedrooms, if that's walk-in closets, kitchens, whatever it is that you want, you have the right to get whatever it is that you want because we work hard for our money. There's nothing that should be able to say, oh, you can only do this. When you find the house that you like, you're going to make an offer on the property. After you make an offer on the property, don't get upset. You're not going to always get what you want. It's this thing called life. So say you don't get an accepted offer, you just go find another one. Maybe that wasn't the perfect house and you'll find something that's even better. But in the case that you do get that accepted offer, congratulations, you are on the road to becoming a homeowner. When you do that, you're going to then go into the negotiation phase. You might want to either screenshot this or write it down. Sorry, I talk fast. So you're going to go through the negotiation phase and go over the contract. So this would be, I'm not necessarily your realtor, but if you were to sign a contract with the realtor, you go over a negotiation. So say the house was $340, it's been on the market for some time, and you decided I only want to pay $300. That would be up to you and the realtor that you choose to negotiate those prices so that then you can get what you want. You want something that you can still have equity in the home, but it's not so disrespectful to the seller that they're like, no, we're going to go with the other person's offer, because if you were in that other person's shoes, you worked hard for that home to make it beautiful. You want to at least get what you deserve to. So after you guys come to an agreement, you guys are semi-happily ever after. You have some inspections. If you are getting a loan, you're going to have to go through a process. They're going to ask you for certain things like your source of income, credit score, debt to income ratio. If you have any debt, so like medical bills, student loans, all these things that are going to come up. If you pass all those hurdles, we then have an appraisal. An appraisal is going to be something that a third party that works with the bank, that doesn't technically work with the bank, but they do, comes out to say, yes, this house is worth this value. So say the appraisal says, I looked at 3 properties within a mile radius, and they say that this property is actually worth 360 from our 340 example. You are now at $20,000 in equity. Yay. Not saying you should go take that out to go buy a new bathroom, but you have it, just a thought of mine versus not having it. But then say that same appraiser says, the properties weren't really that great. The markets are kind of going down right now. I think that property is actually only worth 320. If you would have bid that 340, that would have then been negotiated and things like that. But all of that comes into having an expert available, because we don't expect you to know all of this. You go to work to do whatever it is that you do. Type in the chat what you do for a living, whether you're a teacher, a doctor, lawyer, painter, musician, whatever you do, that is your specialty. But we have other people who already know these contracts and things to help you get to escrow. Escrow is going to be where we get to get through to the title company. The title company is going to make sure there's no liens, there's no special assessments. These are all random things that can come up that makes you pay for things if you don't get an expert to make sure that these things are taken care of. After everything passed through with flying colors, you guys are all, happy campers. You can get to the final details, your final walkthrough, to make sure that the house is exactly how you want it to be, free of all debris. So they didn't leave an old school car and some other things, then trash the place. Somebody didn't break in. It wasn't a leaky faucet that now has the whole house flooded. You get to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. Make sense? So when you do that, now you can get through closing. You will have one of the happiest, saddest times you will ever have, because you're happy that you're a homeowner, but you're going to be really maybe upset depending on how much money you have to put down to get this dream home. Any questions so far on the process?
Hello, Stephanie.
Yes.
Hey, this is Alexandria.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you're about to go into it, but you were talking about the down payments. Are there assistance for like first-time home buyers, like, loans and things like that to help with that?
There is help for everything you want to do, because buying a house is incentivized by the government. Therefore, there will always be a grant or help that is available, along with other people who believe in home ownership. But yes, we'll get to that in just a second. That was a great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when it comes to getting a house, quick question, are people more so leaning towards loan or cash? Because I can blow through this if we're not going to go through the pre-approval process. So
Mine would
anybody
be a
have
loan, yeah.
400,000 or more in their back pocket right now?
Both.
Okay. So let's go through both, just because, Javon said. So when you first go to get a house, the lenders are going to ask you for certain things. They're going to ask you questions to make sure your mindset is really right when it comes to getting a house. They're going to see if you did some extra, education, got a game plan, if you know how much you want to spend. Yes, I said before, you can get whatever you want, but I'm not going to tell you to go buy that $1 million house knowing you make $6 an hour. I'm pretty sure minimum wage is like 7, 8, depending on where you are. But, given the example, be realistic with your, with your numbers, at least When you come into getting a house, as I was saying before, there's certain pre-payables. So like your home inspection, the appraisal, if you want certain special tests to come out or anything, these are other things that you need to be able to have in your back pocket, readily available to pull out. The first thing the bank's going to ask is, how much debt do you have? How much do you owe other people? Yes, I see how much you bring in and your check looks magnificent, but how much of that do you have to give to student loans, your car payment, medical bills, anything else, and anybody else, where you have like a net of the net that you already had, if that makes sense. And then they're going to see if you have an emergency fund. Do you have the money for your down payment? Do you have the money for your down payment and the next month's mortgage? Or are you putting your last on just getting the house? Down payments can range anything between 3% to 20%, depending on your numbers. We'll go on numbers in just a second, but then when it comes to buying a house, based on how you answer these questions are going to be based on if you're building wealth in order to live, or if you're in survival mode. Banks, it's like a certain smell or something. Banks can smell when you're in survival mode, when you're check to check and you're just hoping that the numbers work out, versus you're comfortable, you know that you've wanted a house and you've been kind of planning for it because somebody walked through these steps with you. So let's go into how much. As stated before, we are all over the map. So if you're in Wisconsin, you're in this nice green state. Green means we're not as cheap as the dark green states, but we are definitely cheaper than, say, Florida. Ooh, you orange. Yeah. Georgia, you're over here and you're yellow, so you're a little bit more than Wisconsin. So say I have some investors on the line and say you want to maybe invest in some of these green states, or you want to have a vacation home somewhere, knowing that you can buy a home anywhere, but some places you will get more bang for your buck. Is that true or is that true? So the average median is about 340, but me being in Wisconsin, I can tell you right now, I have sold commercial buildings for under 100,000. It really depends on where you are, depending on what kind of price, what kind of, if you want to do rehab or if you just want it to be move-in ready. So banks are going to ask you these questions and then they're going to say, life has its ups and downs, but how do you weather the storm? Are you fast and furious, cutting curves? Are you really able to knock these things out? Or are you kind of struggling? Because first things that most people don't understand is that your taxes take off the first 1/3 of your income. This means that if you work a regular job and you get a W-2, when you see your check, right before it, you see a nice little box, and that box says state, federal, FICA, MICA, and all these other things, where you get to the point where you're like, okay, my after-tax dollars are real. Like, I don't know if you ever remembered your first check, but my first check, I knew I was gonna get paid. I didn't even know who these people were. But somehow they had their hand in it, and it was just like, all right, cool. Going through life, we get into debt. We have children. She's not my most expensive thing, but she's definitely up there. And like say you want to get a house, you want to get a car. These are things that we want to do and we have the right to do. But one thing that America made is this IOU system called credit. And they let you get things with an IOU so that you can then be in this debt, which is like a big bag over your shoulders. After that, you have big business. We just got out of Thanksgiving. You mean to tell me that I just sat next to some family members that I may not have never seen all year, but I just fed them like we was best friends? And we do it every year because after Thanksgiving comes Christmas. After Christmas, no, wait, hold on. We got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, probably a Brown Thursday somewhere in there. Then you have Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day. What's after that? St. Patrick's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, Father's Day, 4th of July or Independence Day. Don't forget my Juneteenth. Martin Luther King Day is somewhere in there, but it's to the point that I can just start naming off holidays. And we're like, dang, that's in there too. You right. The kids are back home from school too. I gotta feed them some more. And it's just to the point that even when you go to the store, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't want to necessarily blame COVID, but I don't remember ever spending $20 on tissue. I don't remember ever spending $4 on milk. And diapers is $50 a box. You know how many diapers she go through? And even if these are not the things that you face, you still have food, you still have travel, all these different things that you want to do, to the point that we're losing so much, to the point that just like I got a mechanic, just like I got a mechanic, just like I got somebody to do my nails, my hair, all these different things. I got some experts to really take a look at my financial portfolio, because my expert is in real estate. I show people where good deals are, how to break that down, what the finances are. But when it comes to your taxes for the last 3 years, your credit for the last 30, 40, 50 years you've been alive. When it comes to all these different things, there's people who go to school for this. And I love them so much because, as I was saying earlier, my brand is educate to own. My brand is to really be able to give people that education so that they have the same strategies of experts that the wealthy have. And our excuse can't be we couldn't afford it. Because what we can afford is being part of the 78 plus % of Americans being paycheck to paycheck. I've been paycheck to paycheck for so long that I don't want to be paycheck to paycheck no more. I don't want to check on layaway. I want all my money on a regular basis and still have money left over so that when somebody says, let's go on a trip, let's go do whatever, I'm not like, all right, let me not pay the energy bill so I can go to Jamaica for a weekend. Like, I don't have to make these choices just because I know I need a break, because over 70 plus Americans are paying too much in taxes. 80 plus Americans are having credit challenges, and 80+% of Americans are in debt. And as a result, I've seen so many people have GoFundMe accounts and all these other things that by the time that they are 65, they don't have even $5,000 in their account. And I've just been able to team up with some certified experts just to be able to say, enough is enough and it's time to really make a difference, because we want the things that we want and there's nothing that we shouldn't be able to do to have it. So I want to bring this up before I go into everything else. People don't work for free. I don't, you don't, nobody in the world I know does. So there's two types of ways to get started. You can either do a membership for just $79.97. This does cover you and a spouse if you are married or you have somebody living with you. And this takes care of your taxes, your bills, your debt, your credit, and gets you in the real estate program to go ahead and get you a lender, get you pre-qualified, get you a lender, get you in a house. And if you want to customize your house, you can customize your house. Or you can be a partner with us and you can understand that this education is something serious that needs to be given to the masses. And for a one-time fee of $228 to get started, because a business, you have a startup fee. For real estate, I paid over $5,000. So $300 is definitely less than $300 is definitely nothing. And then you have $119 a month to go ahead and get the extra benefits that includes the tax benefits of $475 plus. It also comes with just the different benefits of having a home-based business. And I'll go over that in a minute because I want to show you why this is absolutely nothing. When you get a closing document, there's going to be fees attached. Those fees attached are going to be called prorations and or just fees because the city, town, tax, and government decided to give them to you. And I need these not to scare you. So when you're thinking about buying a house, I need you to know that when you buy a house, you're going to think of how much you want to buy for the house. So 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 plus the taxes and fees. Because they're going to give you this, what's called a loan amortization schedule, which is the scheduled payment that you pay for the next 30 years if you choose to pay your loan off in 30 years. I've seen so many of my clients' face go completely pale just from seeing this because it's like a death sentence. They just be like, what did I just sign up for? But let me tell you about what amortization is. So through amortization, every payment pays off the loan balance, but the loan balance is broken up, attached, and delayed through something called interest. Interest is the penalty you pay for the right to own something in advance that you can't afford, says my mentor, Brian N. Bean. Banks and amortization is what I call the bank's hustle. The bank has no problem giving you a loan for $100,000 at 3.5% down and an interest rate of 3% for 30 years. To us, it sounds great. But let me tell you why they do this over and over and over again. I'll put the example on the screen. I put the regular 3.5% down, 100,000, typical in my market. The payment is $408. Yay, it's less than rent, winning. But let's really break it down. Interest is $241. This means you're paying the bank $240 per month just because you didn't have the money up front. The principal, or what goes off the actual balance, is $167. So I just showed you a way how to make more money, but you're paying more of it to the bank of what's taken to it. To the point that even though for the last 4 months, you just paid out $1,635, you really only paid out $673 because the bank just profited 41%. when the bank profits, I'd rather have you profit because I'm a caring person. And I just believe that if we, the people, had more money, we wouldn't be going through a lot of the stuff we going through. So I teach people how to turn their payments into profits. Renting is something that we do. I've rented for a long amount of time until I started to kind of realize this chart. So I need somebody, preferably 2 or 3, just I want to see if the markets are different across different states. If you are currently renting, or if the last time you did rent, how much did you pay in rent? I'll start. For me, my last rent that I paid was $750. I had rented for 10 years before I had got the house that I'm in now. And so this means, so when I said, are you getting paid or are we paying rent or getting paid? This means before I decided to make the switch, I had paid out $90,000. $90,000 is a house. It is definitely a down payment. And it's a rental property, if not 2. So if anybody else wants to disclose, how much have you paid in rent if you are paying
Yeah, I pay $870 a month in rent.
rent? Okay. So
Mhm.
$870, let's round it up to 900. How long have you been renting?
Well, I mean, I've rented different places in different states when I've moved around. The highest I've paid in rent is $1150.
Okay. So we can go off of 2. So how many years in total have you rented, period?
7 years, 8 years.
7, 8. Okay, here we'll even round down. We'll do 5. So 1,200 at 5 years. That's $72,000. Can you agree that that's either a down payment or a house?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Anybody else want to see their numbers?
Yeah, I'm right there with Hope.
But that's what I'm saying. So are you paying rent or are you getting paid? Because I would prefer you guys to get paid, to the point that where homeowners have 40 times greater net worth. Why? Because they're sitting on their house. They're sitting on whatever payments they're making on that house, as well as the other assets that they build over that time. So maybe they took out that equity and got another house. So now they have 2 houses. So now their net value, excuse me, is almost 260,000 versus the regular renter has less than 6,000. 6,000 means that month to month, after you pay your bills, you still have $6,000 in your account. Now, I just showed how people by the age of 65 have less than 5,000. So you are really, really lucky if you've been able to save $6,000 just as a renter. Yes or yes? But I'm not gonna knock, people got good jobs out there. But Linda's gonna ask, where is your money coming from? What's your source of income? What's your credit score? What's your debt to income ratio? What's your down payment? So in short, if you are the bank, who am I lending my money to? How are you paying my money back? And how quickly can I get my money back? It's really how the bank breaks this down. But let me break it down to you as far as, how society really works. You can have this, and I want you to be able to have this. But if your numbers are not right, they'll either disqualify you, make you pay a lot of money down, where the amount of money you have down, there's houses in Milwaukee for that. If you know some contractors who can help build it, then you might be better off building a house. But a lot of times people don't want that as their first home because they have family, they have work, they have school, they got all these other things. The last thing they want to do is put windows and a porch on a house. They want to come home and kick their feet up and rest in their house, not necessarily build on it. And now, not to knock people who do want to, because you definitely can, but it's not necessarily a first choice for everybody. Make sense? So credit is on a tier. The lowest you can have is a 300. The highest you can have is a 850. Depending on where you are on this list will depend on how high your interest rate is. It will also depend on what type of loan they give you and how much you have to put down. But let's first talk about interest. Interest is the penalty you pay for the right to have something before you can afford it. So this is that 3%, that 2%, that 1%, that whatever percent that you agreed to the bank to say that you wanted to pay back. but they base it off these numbers. If you were in the high 740s, you have some of the best interest rates. The closer you are to 8, that 3% becomes 1%. And let me tell you right now, it is real better to have 1% versus 3%. Then if you are, at the 600s, you definitely can get a house, but you may have that 3%, 3.5% versus somebody who's in the poor category under 580, which is, there are some government funded programs, but they will still let you do the 3.5% down, but you may have like what's called PMI, private mortgage insurance. You may have some other additional fees or whatever, because for some reason, when you're not qualified, they tend to charge you more, which makes no sense in our mind, but in their mind, it makes perfect sense to charge people who don't have the money for the things that they feel they can't afford. That's how they get foreclosures. That's how they make money off of, bad decisions. Where you are is not a tattoo. It can always be changed. The reason why I ask people to change it as quickly as possible is because it affects these things, as I said before. You want the lowest interest rate. You want the best type of loan. So when it comes to loans, there's FHA. Those are going to be government-backed loans. So when you get when you get a house, it can't have like chip paint, no trip hazards. It has to be pretty much sparkly, move-in ready. Versus a conventional where you can get pretty much anything. There's jumbo or like a balloon loan where you think is good and then you get a whole big bill 5 years later. And then there's some other ones called like adjustable rate or ARM rate mortgage, which are going to be ones that you agree to at a certain time period. But because you're not in the best situation, they can up that interest rate. This now ups your monthly fees. This now reduces the stress level you have, because over time things change. You might not have that same job. Maybe they didn't give you the raise and they gave it to somebody else. Maybe it had an addition to your family. Maybe somebody got sick. Maybe somebody got COVID. There's so many things that can happen that when you agree to something that changes based on how the bank feels, it can put you in a real bad situation. And then the down payment, which is going to be how much money you put down, whether that is going to be no money down, which is great. Or if that 3%, 5, 10, 20, 25%, depending on where you are in your numbers. Make sense? Okay. Now, not doom and gloom, because I'm going to tell you how to help you out. Just like I just told you how they're going to look at it. Yes, they're going to look at you like this, but this is how you fix it. Take a screenshot, write it down. You fix it by paying your bills on time. You fix it by monitoring the report so you are more confident when you go into the bank. If you go on a free website, annualcreditreport.com, and they tell you have a 500, you don't have to go to the lender. You already know what it is. You already know they're going to say no. So you can just monitor yourself, and that way you can save yourself and say, okay, let me go to my next step. When it comes to your credit, you want to, if you have credit cards, you want to keep as much of it available as possible. 30% is great. 20%, 10% is always going to be better, because you want to look like you don't actually need the money. And then you want to keep the old credit cards open. So yes, that means that old furniture store that you went to 5 years ago, you paid off the couch, just keep the card open, go buy a pillow. And the reason why is because it adds the credit history. When you cut that card off, that's the longest history that you have, and you mess up your averages. And then you want to not go buy anything new or open up a new account. So when I say don't go buy nothing new, I'm not saying no, you can't go buy those pair of shoes. I'm saying don't go put those pair of shoes on credit. Don't go max out your card. Don't go buy a refrigerator because the house didn't come with appliances before closing. Don't go buy a furniture set for the new house that you're going to get next week. These are all things that will offset your numbers and get you from qualified to unqualified. If somebody asks you, oh, I need you to co-sign for this car, co-sign for the student, co-sign for whatever, you don't want to do it because your goals are your goals and everybody may not have or know your goals. So you want to be able to work on you. I've had a client who was like, I'm gonna just use so-and-so's credit, co-sign on their stuff, and I'm gonna up my credit. They maxed out their card for Christmas. She couldn't get a house. And it put her in the worst situation where I was telling her, I said, you can't depend on somebody else to make your goals. They don't know you want a house, you want that house. But there's ways that the credit score is broken down. 35% is payment history, so how often you pay it on time. 30% is how much debt you have. So if you have student debt, credit card debt, medical debt, previous foreclosure, these are all debts that come up. Age of credit, how long you've had your credit. So if you've had one for 10 years, another one for 2 years, they'll average the two out to be 8 years. You have your types of credit, so car, house, student loans, whatever else that you broke down into your types of credit. And then to the last 10% is your credit inquiries, or how often somebody has checked your credit to see if you could go ahead and qualify. Has anybody heard of the term debt to income ratio? Yes, no, maybe. No, okay. So debt to income ratio is the amount of money you owe divided by the amount of money you make. So Sarah is a regular person. I should actually change her name to Stephanie. Car payment, 40 bucks. I gotta get to work. Student loans, 500. The government said I had to pay them back. When I was growing up, they said go to school, get good grades, go to that school, get FAFSA, go ahead and get these student loans. I got these student loans, and after graduation, they give you a bill. All right, fine. Then credit cards, because Sarah decided to go to Jamaica. She decided to go on those trips, do things for the holidays. And then so when she said, okay, well, I want to get a mortgage, I want to get a new house. The mortgage was nothing, $1,000, $2,200. Well, monthly, she brought in $5,000 or $60,000 a year. Her monthly expense of 22 divided into 5,000 put her at 44%. The 44% is in danger zone. This means if she bursts a tire, if she loses her job, if anything happens as far as life, they may or may not get their payment. Make sense? If you are under 30%, a lot of times you're going to be a lot more better in your debt to income ratio, to the point that you will start to look like my next example. My next example is going to show how they paid off their car, paid off student loans, paid off their credit cards, and only had the mortgage. They added $500 per month. Part-time job or business opportunity that was able to give you residually $500 a month. This brought them down to 18%. 18% means if they want to go get their hair and nails done, they can. If they want to go get a new car, they can. If they want to go buy the mansion on the lake house, they can, if they make enough to afford the payment. But the idea is that you are in a better position than the previous example because you have more positive cash flow. Wealth isn't determined by how much money you make. It's based on how much cash flow you keep. How much money can you keep per month that doesn't have to go out to bills? Because that way, this won't be so heartbreaking. Ernest is not my old boyfriend from college, I promise. Ernest is this thing called like a down payment, security deposit. No, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna call it a down payment. Security deposit is what I'm gonna call it. Earnest money is gonna be 1% of the purchase price when you want to put an offer in on a property. So say you say, oh, I like this property, it's mine. When you write your offer, you're gonna agree to put down a minimum of 1%. So at $100,000, it's $1,000. This is to be due within 5 business days on Monday through Friday of the accepted offer. So this does not mean you can wait for your paycheck in 2 weeks. You got to already have it available. It's like the previous chart we were talking about. That's why you have to have these savings already. You then are going to have your down payment, which is 3 to 25% or more, depending on the type of person you are and the type of investment you're trying to get. Realtor commissions, because you want an expert to look over all the paperwork. There's about anywhere between 30 to 60 papers, and that's all legal paperwork. So unless you have a legal background and you want to do it, I would definitely recommend getting a realtor. The fees are definitely minuscule. And if you go through Make Wealth Real, they actually pay the realtor fees. So there's definitely ways where, you can still get that expert opinion without kind of chipping into your back pocket. Then you have closing costs, well, like I was saying before, the home inspection, appraisal, title, registration, deed recording, taxes, water bill, all things that come with getting a house. Now, I will say this is a really high check at first, but you don't pay your mortgage for like the first 60 days. So you got a little bit of a breathing room to get it back. So on a chart, if you're a visual learner like me, this is what it looks like. Earnest money is always 1%. That earnest money is going to come out of the down payment. So if you're in that 3.5 category and you have to pay the 3,500, when you already paid 1,000, so now you only have 25 plus the extras, but let's just keep, that number. The more house you want, the more money you have to put down because it's more expensive. Make sense? If you are in a category where you have some debt, your numbers may not be up to par. Say you got student loans, medical bills, you don't make that much at work, no matter how much you work, no matter how much overtime you do, it just doesn't always add up. They may ask you to either A, get into a better situation, or if you really, really want this house, put 5% down. But just look at the drastic change between 5% and 3.5%. You mean 10,000 or 7,000? I mean, to be fair, 10,000 is a little bit easier to come up than 5 or 7,000, don't you think? And then if you want to be an investor and you want to start investing either horizontally, so in multiple states, or vertically in just your state, those are going to be a little bit higher because if you don't live there or it's not your primary, banks assume you don't really care about it. It's a hobby to you. If you have your house and your house is all pretty and you paid your mortgage and you got everything going, if you have a property halfway across the globe, you might forget about it sometimes until you look up and you're just like, ain't I supposed to get a check somewhere? Don't somebody owe me some money? To a point where you may not notice that the roof is falling out. You may not notice that there, is crime areas. You may not notice all these things that are going on because you're not there. So they do make you put a little bit more money down based off of what type of person you are and what type of investments you want. 20% is the bare minimum when you are getting into investments. That will go up depending on how big the building is. So versus if you want to buy a duplex, a 4-unit, if you want to buy an 18-unit building, it's going to be higher. If you want to go buy a hotel or a museum, it's going to be higher. The building's more expensive. One thing they never tell you about refinancing, you don't have to wait a year, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years to refinance. If you are not in the best position right now, but you still get approved, you can go ahead and you can take that, get the house that you want, agree to those terms, fine. But the minute you get your credit up, the minute you get your loaded debt, your debt to income ratio down, the minute you get your income up, go refinance. I'd rather you take those 30 years and pay 1% of interest to the bank than spend the next 30 years taking 3%, because those drastic numbers will be able to get you out of that debt a lot faster. Imagine going from a $800 mortgage payment to a $400 mortgage payment. It's a lot easier to pay that $400. Even if you double up and keep paying the same $800 you're used to paying, you still pay it off so much faster than the person who's still trying to find this $800. What happens when you're trying to find $800 and now you're 65 plus? Retirement, pension, 401k, all that is, 40% of what you agreed to work to before. So it's just one of those things that the sooner you can do it, the better. If you can't do it today, strive to do it tomorrow. MWR, which is Make Wealth Real Financial, MWR for short, has a fantastic real estate program that I'm so glad I was able to partner up with them with. Because they were able to improve credit scores, increase cash flow, lower the debt to income ratio, maximize buying power. This takes people from tragic to magic. If you are good, you can go better. It's just really a way to make it so there's no excuses. Even if you have extenuating circumstances, they have forensic credit restoration attorneys provided at no additional cost. And it's just because we believe in home ownership. We believe in having assets versus debt. We get you pre-qualified so that you can go ahead and get the home of your dreams. If you want to go pick something up from the market and say, I like that with the marble floors, no customization needed, you can. If you say, you know what, I want to make it mine. I want to pick out the layout. I want to pick out the flooring. I want to pick out whatever. You can do that too. The benefit about being able to do that is, say you want to get a home today, but you may not be ready today. What we can do is we have contractors that are already available in your state to do the work for you. Make Wealth Real Financial will go ahead and buy you the property, rehab it for you, let you design it, and give you some time to get your numbers together. This way, you're not signing up for something that is a bad idea, quite honestly. Not to give you legal advice, but it's a way so you don't have to sign up for the high credit numbers or the high interest rates, and you can actually go through the process to get the best ones possible. And you have it customized. It doesn't have to be your forever home, but it's definitely a way to start home ownership with low interest rates, and customized for you. We help people buy, sell, flip, and invest in real estate. But before I go into more about the real estate program, I have to get a drink of water because I am thirsty. Mr. Javon Rowland, would you be able just to tell us, I've been able to work with this gentleman for so long that his testimony is amazing. So please, can you just tell us what it's been able to do for you?
Yeah, being that I've been through everything, I'll go ahead and start from the beginning to end. So I'll go ahead with the W-4 tax reduction. I found out connecting with these experts that I was overpaying $500 in taxes from my job. So what they did was help me fill out a form called a W-4. They sent me a correct form, and I took that form and I turned it into my HR department at my job. And that has allowed me to get an instant pay raise of $500 into my paycheck from my job without even having to work any more hours. I asked my boss for a raise. So I took that $500, I didn't go all out or whatnot, and then I put it into the debt elimination aspect of the membership. And I uploaded all my information, my mortgage, car note, don't have student loan, but hospital bills and all the bills that I have to pay off in life. And what I found out is that working with the experts, they told me that my creditors had me plan on being in debt for an extra 27 years at the time when I put my information into the system. But now they got it down to 2. And I'll be debt free in February of 2022, which is actually 2 months away. So I'll be debt free. And then the experts also gave me a game plan saying, okay, if you continue on this journey, you'll be a millionaire in February of 2040 as well. But I know with the pace that I'm going, I'll be a millionaire way before that. So now let's go to the credit restoration aspect and what they have done for me. Man, all I did was just uploaded my 3 credit reports to the experts, and I simply just walked away. And within the first 2 weeks, my credit score went up 100 points. And then within the first 6 months, it went up 278 points. And then on separate occasions this year, in January and February, it went up 1 and 2 points. And then in May, it went up another 70 points. And then last month, it went up another 13 points. So working with the experts, they increased my credit score 363 points. And now going through everything, now I'm tapping into the wealth accumulation aspect where I'm now getting a chance to become my own bank.
So that's so exciting. The credit increase. Have you seen any like decreases in your bills, or just how does it feel just to kind of have that? Like,
Man, it feel real wonderful, and it just especially with the smart credit that come with the membership as well, letting you know, okay, like today, I had no one and looked at my credit score and seen what was up, and then they just told me, okay, if you pay this off in credit with your credit score increased 43 points, and that'll put me at like a 710, they say. And my credit score will be gone up by December 22nd. So that's one thing I like about using the credit restoration aspect of it, because they tell you things that you can do to increase your credit score. And if you follow them steps that they tell you to do, it will happen, and I'm a living testimony. I'm just doing what the experts tell me to do, and it's just taking it and running with it, and it's benefiting me in every way.
That's one thing I can definitely dig. Like, I know for a long time I have been trying to track my credit, but then like it seemed like Credit Karma something like pay this bill right quick, but then like it don't up my credit when they said it was gonna up my credit. Like, you ever had one of the things where somebody told you it was gonna do something, but it didn't quite do it all the way?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh, wait a minute. I see somebody else. Let me go ahead and spotlight this gentleman right here. Mr. Anthony Clemens. I was able to meet this gentleman as well. He is a published author, sorry. You know, people fancy got to say it a certain kind of way. He always has a smile and he always just brightens up the room. Like, if you're having a bad day, this person will go ahead and say something. You just be like, you know, my day wasn't even that bad. You right. And it's something I really, really love having around. So, Mr. Anthony Clemens, would you be able to just tell us what Make Wealth Real has been able to do for you as far as all of the pillars?
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I do appreciate you. I'm so happy that I joined this call because the information that you're sharing, you're breaking it down so well in such elementary language that anybody can understand. Just to answer your question, well, actually, what MWR done for me with the financial edge, they, of course, as far as they helped me to increase my paycheck, like they did Brother Javon. I did the same process what he did, and I got an increase in my paycheck from Dougherty County school system by $475. That is a collective. That is a year's worth of $5,700 that I've received. And not only that, my debt elimination. What they've done is that they have taken my 88 and a half years of debt sentencing from my creditors. They narrowed it down from 88 and a half years to only 5.5 years, and I will be debt free. And so they even give me my my millionaire date, which is December 2028. And I'm so happy about that.
Most definitely. So you were able to add an extra $400 per month into your check?
$475.
$475. Okay.
Yes.
So for that extra $475, do you find some way to spend it every month?
Yes, ma'am. I proudly do. I'm so happy. It's one thing is that I know the good book says that, he that is in must be in spirit and in deed, but it feels much better when you are free, not just in the spirit, but in your strategy. Not only you're free in your strategy, but you're freer in your bank account. And I love that.
Most definitely. Thank you so much. But now thank you. So one thing that these two people did not say is that they did all that stuff without selling nothing, having nothing, convincing nobody, do nothing. This is all money that they were already overpaying that was due to them. Think about if you are that type person who gets a refund of $8,000, $9,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 at the end of the year. How many months could you have used that money then? How many times did you need to spot some groceries or put something else or borrow somebody from something else that if you would have had that money, you would have been able to do what you needed to do, no questions asked. So the real estate program, we are able to help people get houses, even if they don't have perfect credit, because we help them raise their credit. We help you even if you don't have the ideal debt to income ratio, because we put you through a process to get those numbers down. If you do have a house to sell, we can go ahead and team you up with the realtor so they can put it on the market so you can get that awesome value. Even if it's a distressed property, we can go ahead and flip the property for you. So either for you to get the money as a capital contributor, or if you want to become your own bank, like Mr. Rowland was saying, and participate in some of that 20+% per annum of the return of investment. Might be talking investor, but that's a later conversation. But making wealth real is definitely something that we believe in. So they talk about the tax strategies. They were talked about how they were able to increase the money on their checks, same as these other people on the screen, decrease their debts. Smart credit is something that Javon brought up. This person was able to decrease down 21 years. I love debt. No, let me not say that. I love debt elimination. Because this debt elimination was able to take me out $36,000. You know what I did with my $36,000? I'm finna go buy a real nice house. You know, that saved me 17 years in debt. I can spend more time with my child now. So now I don't have to keep working because now I'm debt free. It's just really been able to have that benefit because when my credit got up, my bills came down. Did you know if you pay off your regular bills, your credit goes up and they start decreasing some of your other bills? They start giving you things because now, well, they're trying to get you in debt, but you are more of a successful buyer to the point that they're going to start giving you more stuff. Smart credit is an additional $20 a month, but it tells you exactly what to pay and when, so that when it comes, I know that person, when it comes to buying a house, you're a lot more confident. And not saying that we're going to do massive things in 30 days because everybody is different. However, we've seen it, we've had it done. Even if you owe the IRS, if you are in some kind of really bad situation, bankruptcy, we do have additional attorneys and things to do that. Not that you can't get a house, but there will be a little bit of some other obstacles that you may have to deal with. But in my mind, you kind of knew that already. We want to help you build wealth. We want to help you go from renting to owning. If you want to rent, that is perfectly okay. Sometimes people are not ready to buy a house, and that's okay. But there's definitely 40 times greater net worth in home ownership than renting. We work with the best. We're backed by Visa. We pay people 10 different ways. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But that was more so the home buying process. As said it before, you have 2 different ways to go ahead and get started. You either work on your own finances, or you can understand that you saw those numbers and you was kind of just like, 10,000 is a little bit much. 5,000 was a little bit much. We help you get the money for your goals, as well as we have down payment assistance. We help renovate it. There's so many different resources that are available through Make Wealth Real. If you don't become a partner, it's kind of just like, I will allow you to do things on your own. But if you go 6 months to a year and you're in the same place, come back to me. I will still keep my arms open for you. But it's just, another resource out there that I'm letting you know. If you ever have more questions, you want to know more information, we do have realtor and investor conversations. If you want to talk about flipping in the investor side, the capital contributor side. If you want to talk about paying off your mortgage in 30 years or less, or no, in less than 15 or more or less, we do have more conversations about that as well. Just team up with me and let me know which direction you're going into so we can talk about it. The education is always free. I'm literally an open book. All you have to do is ask the question. I do have resources and team of experts available. It's just a matter if that's something that you choose to take on. Our next one is So You Want to Buy a Home, where we talk about the similar process to this of actually buying a home. These are some other realtors, investors that we have on the team. Miss Natasha is actually in Atlanta. So for my people that are in Atlanta, Natasha is a wonderful EXP agent that will be happy to help you, that can teach you a lot of these other strategies, as well as some of our real estate investment coaches. If you want to get into flipping, like Yaz, who's in Atlanta as well. Then the TurnQuest, he had, and Richard Hardenby, who have multiple different properties. But thank you guys all. I will stop the recording for questions.
Hi, Steph.